Hey there, and welcome to my weekly Q&A. I'm bringing it back for the month of September every Thursday, so come visit me at the handles that you see on the screen, and you can learn a few things, get some of your questions answered. This is one of the questions that I've got from my clients in terms of finding your audience. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's going to be short and sweet, trying to keep these close to 10 minutes. So, because we're all busy. So let's go ahead and just dive in. So if you look at my screen, you can see finding your audience. One of the best ways to do it is on Facebook. It's a way of doing it because you can get the information relatively quickly. It is cost effective and you can get pretty detailed. So, but before we get going in terms of going into Facebook, because I'm going to go into the ads manager to do that, let's just double check to make sure everybody has a good understanding of what an audience is and what is the difference between an audience and a customer. Just making sure people know that, right? Your audience is someone who you are targeting. That is somebody who may not be your customer just yet, but is a prospect. And if you look here at my screen, you can see that I love things with the funnel. I'm always going to talk about the funnel and going through that. This is a marketing funnel and you have different audiences, and I call audiences cold, warm, and hot. So your cold audience is someone who they don't know you yet, but you want to get them to know you, so their awareness level. Your warm audience is they know you, they've been in your ecosystem, so they may have gone to your website, they may be on your list, so they may have received an email, maybe they are following you on social media. And then your hot audiences are your customers. Those are people who have actually purchased from you. They have repeat purchased, so they know you well. That's considered hot. For the sake of this video, I want to focus really on the cold and a little bit on the warm, because that's where people are trying to reach new customers online, reach new customers. Those are customers that don't know them. So let's talk a little bit about the cold audience. To get into that, we're going to go into Facebook's ads manager. So you may or may not be familiar with this. The best way to go there is through business.facebook.com. I know you can go into ads manager from your Facebook page, and there's going to be some area over, especially on your desktop, area over to the left where it's going to have advertising. And that area is becoming a little more robust, but if you really want to see the cleanest way to get into your ads manager, it is definitely going through Facebook, business.facebook.com. And if you don't have a login set up, you could set up an account for that. And it just brings in all the business tools, the business suite for you to use for your Facebook business page. So it is something that you require maybe a different login than your personal Facebook login. So bear that in mind. So let's go ahead and go over to the page. I have it already open. So I'm going to go into an account that I have. I have a test account, and we're going to look at a retail store. Actually, my cousin's retail store. She owns a retail store in the area, a physical presence, and wants to look at her audience. Who can she reach online? And so one of the questions that she has is, what's her type of audience? What's the difference between her audiences and which ones really do shop at her store? There's two rules of thought. She has two different groups or subsets based on her customer list. She has what she calls corporate women, who are looking for clothing to wear for their career, corporate. And then she also has women who are looking for entertaining outfits to wear on the weekend. Those are totally two different audiences because they're two different mindsets. Now, there's going to be some overlap, but let's just focus on how can we find that one audience and making sure that we are serving up the right message to that audience. They may overlap a little bit, but there are some messaging that you want to share with that specific audience that's going to be different. So we're in Facebook Ads Manager. And as you can see how it's set up, we're going to go over here to campaigns, ad sets, and ads. Now, ad sets are where you have your audiences. That is the area where you create your audiences. So we're going to go in there. I already started one, but we're going to go into that and edit it. And I just want to share with you that you can start creating your audiences based on several factors. It is the more detail that you have, the better, because that's what Facebook has. They spent about 10 years, more than 10 years, collecting a lot of data. And so they do know how to craft an audience. Now, the first and foremost, if you are an existing business, the best way to get to know your audience is to take your customer list, and if you have it, and create a custom audience. What that means, and I'm going to scroll down here and you can see on the screen, what that means is I'm going to create a custom audience based off of my list. Now, if you have a list of at least 100 customers, and the list is like their email address is the best thing you can get, you could go ahead and you could create a new custom audience. The best way to do that is go in here, create an audience, and you could do it based on the customer list. You could do it based on your website, people who have come to your website. Some offline activity like here, having a store, and you have some data that you can add into that. You could also look at some of these Facebook resources. Custom audiences are automatically warm because they have been in your ecosystem. They know who you are, and so they are considered warm or hot audiences, right? So that is a different audience group. You're going to give them a different message than you do the cold group. For the rest of this quick little video, I'm going to focus on the cold audiences and how to find them, right? So we're going to move on to look at cold audiences. So Facebook gives you sort of the general demographics that you can kind of set up, right? Location. If your business is only in the United States, it could be defaulted that way, or you're going to go in here and you're going to put United States. If your business is only maybe English speaking, you could put in other countries, right? Because maybe you're doing products that you could sell to other countries, but only in English. Genders. If your gender is very specific to your products, you will change your gender. All men or women. In the case of her retail store, it is retail store for women only. So we're going to switch that to women here. And then now we want to get into the detailed targeting. Detailed targeting will help give you that audience that you want. And you want to create an audience based off of their interests and behaviors and some of the demographics, just like it says here. Here's how I kind of look at it. I think you want to kind of think about what are the interests and behaviors in some of these categories to kind of help fill this in. You can browse, and the good thing is that Facebook will give you some suggestions. But say, for example, we're talking about her career woman. What are some of the interests and behaviors of that woman? What could you think of if they're shopping? What are their behaviors, or what are their interests? Here's some categories that you could look at in terms of interest. I would look at media, and what does media mean? Like where do they consume media? Entertainment, magazines, television shows, music, media. What are the type of people who are corporate, and what do they like to look at? So, for example, I'm going to say if it's a corporate CEO, maybe they go to Forbes a lot. So you could type in Forbes here, and you could find out information of people who either read Forbes magazine, like to look at Forbes data, and you can go ahead and add that as an interest. Other areas of interest that they might be in. Maybe the career person and loves to look at CNN. So that's another media place. So you can go ahead and type in CNN and wait for some suggestions to come up. CNN International. You can get the different CNNs across the world. You can see here, you can pick job title of people at CNN, but really you want to focus on interest. If you're talking about a career person, maybe the focus of the audience is, I do look at corporate women, but I'm noticing most of my corporate women they usually are in the area of sales or HR. So you can actually put in HR, so titles, and you can look up people who are part of either human resources teams, and you can put in their interests. You can put in management and titles. The idea of the interest is to really kind of start to add as many in here as possible. So you have media that you can go after. You can have careers, like I said, titles, CEO is a title that you can put in. Maybe you want to focus on people who have CEO in their titles that they've added to Facebook. Maybe it is vice presidents or marketing. I'm a marketing person, so if you type in marketing, look to see what are some of the resources. If I could type, what are some of the resources that suggest different types of marketing, promotional marketing, marketing communications. These are the interests, but you could also look at different behaviors of people who are interested in marketing, and different titles like marketing director. So if they have, if they have marketing director in their title, job title, that's something that you can target, and that is crafting this audience. The ideal of this audience is eventually you want to give it a name. You want to make sure that it's a person. Say your audience for the corporate woman, I'm going to call her Shayla, and Shayla is your corporate person that you want to target and see if you can get them to come to your store, come to your website. And so she's in marketing. She does have a CEO in her background, or she used to work, or she works with the CEO very closely. Then you could also start to look at different platforms that she may be on. And what I mean by platforms is, you want to think of some of the groups that Facebook has that she could be a part of. For example, is she into this type of leadership committees? So what leadership groups that are out there that she can be interested in? Are there people that she follows that typically, because she aspires to be like, let's look up for Oprah. I always like the people who are interested in Oprah magazine, or maybe she's more interested in what Beyonce is doing. Or from a corporate standpoint, a female CEO that she aspires to, you want to put that information in as well. So those are some of the platforms that she may be interested in. Another piece is solutions. What are you trying to solve? What is she looking to do? So it's clothing, it's shopping. So that's the last solution. So once you do this, the last thing I would want you to do is put in engaged. If I could spell, engaged shoppers. Why can't I spell? This is a behavior. Basically, this is letting you know people who have come to Facebook and they are more than likely would shop, and they would actually engage with you. So you always want to make sure that you have that in there. So that's pretty much it in terms of a quick down and dirty of like coming up and finding audiences in Facebook. And then what you want to do, you can create a campaign. You can charge like for $5 a day, and then look at the results and see how people will interact with that. Is this audience on point to someone who's interested in your product or service? So feel free to leave comments below. If you want me to look at a different audience or maybe a different platform like LinkedIn or Pinterest, let me know below and I will gladly jump on that. So take care. And I'm a little over 10 minutes, but that's the goal. Let's try to keep it close to 10 minutes. Come back next Thursday for more answers.